When it comes to riding the most popular rides or the newest rides that are opened at the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida and those special merch drops, popcorn buckets, I'm talking to you. I've even had to use it to meet Santa at Disney Springs. A virtual queue is how you're gonna do that. Disney regulates lines with a virtual queue, so you are not spending hours on end on your park day in line for either a merchandise drop and or a very popular ride. With this though comes layers. So we're gonna go into this video and I'm going to show you a tutorial of what it looks like to join the virtual queue, plus all the tips and tricks and need to know information about joining a virtual queue. You ready? Let's go. The number one most important thing that everybody in your party needs to be able to join a virtual queue is number one, a valid park ticket that is linked to you in your My Disney Experience app. And then number two is a park pass reservation for the park that the ride is in that you want to join the virtual queue. Depending on the kind of virtual queue that you are trying to join, whether it be a ride versus getting a popcorn bucket and or meeting Santa in Disney Springs, let's say, there are different times of the day that the virtual queue will open up. But the most important ones that we're really going to talk about today are the rides. The rides open up at 7 a.m. in the morning and 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Deluxe and Deluxe Villa Resort guests do have an extra time at 6 p.m. on certain nights that parks have extended evening hours. And we'll go into those details in just a second. When joining a boarding group at 7 a.m., you do not have to be in a park to be able to join, and everybody on-site and off-site guests are able to join at that 7 a.m. time slot. At 1 p.m., if you are trying to join a boarding group, everybody that is going to try and get a boarding group has to be scanned into the park that the ride is in that you want to ride to be able to join a boarding group. If you go for trying to join a virtual queue at that 7 a.m. mark and you get a boarding group, you are not able to join the 1 p.m. virtual queue. You can only ride the ride once per day with the virtual queue. The third time slot that you may be able to take advantage of is that 6 p.m. virtual queue drop. Now, Deluxe and Deluxe Villa Resort guests have extended evening hours in certain parks on certain nights. So whenever that park that has a virtual queue ride has an extended evening hours, that is the night that you're going to be able to join that virtual queue at 6 p.m. If you are a Deluxe or Deluxe Villa Resort guest and you're going to try for that 6 p.m. time frame, if you have a base ticket, meaning you can only visit one park per day, your park pass reservation has to be for the park that you are going to try and join the virtual queue for at 6 p.m. If you have a park hopping ticket and or are an annual pass holder and you are going to park hop to the extended evening hours park, you must make a park pass reservation for your first park for that day. You must scan in and visit that park, and then you're going to be eligible to be able to join the virtual queue at 6 p.m. for whatever park has the extended evening hours for that night. For those guests that are staying at Deluxe and Deluxe Villa Resorts and you have a 6 p.m. extended evening time boarding group joining queue that you can do, you are able to join two different virtual queues. So if you try for the 7 a.m. or the 1 p.m. and you get it, you are allowed to go for the 6 p.m. and try and ride the ride twice. When you are joining the virtual queue and you get a boarding group, and this is specifically at the 1 p.m. mark, this does not guarantee that you are going to ride the ride that you join the virtual queue for. It's going to depend on how efficient the ride is and or if there are breakdowns. At the 1 p.m. mark, whenever you get a boarding group, they are normally called backup boarding groups. So if there are any issues throughout the day with the ride, there is a chance that you may not ride the ride. So just keep that in the back of your mind and make sure that you go for the 7 a.m. one first and then the 1 p.m. one as a backup. Joining a virtual queue is actually a very fast process. In this tutorial, I'm going to take you step by step and showing you screenshot by screenshot of what the process looks like. Then after that, I'm going to take you through what it really looks like in real time. Step one, open your My Disney Experience app. If the default screen pops up, at the bottom right of your screen, tap those three horizontal lines. On the next screen will be the home screen. You're going to tap the square that says Virtual Queue. If you open your app and the home screen pops up, then just tap the square that says Virtual Queue. Step 2, tap Join Virtual Queue. Step 3, at the top, pick which park that you are wanting to join the virtual queue for. At the bottom of your screen, then tap Confirm Party. Step 4, everybody that is linked to you in your My Disney Experience app has a park pass reservation and a valid park ticket will show up. If you need to select or deselect anybody, just tap the edit button. Step 5, you're going to stay on this screen and you're going to notice at the bottom of the screen the refresh button. That is the button that you are going to push. Do not pull down on the screen to refresh. It takes way too long. So at 6:59.59 or at 12:59.59, that is whenever you're going to push that refresh button. Step number 6, when the virtual queue opens up, the refresh button is going to turn blue and it's going to say join virtual queue. You're going to tap that button quickly. Step number 7, if you got in a boarding group, the next screen is going to show you your boarding group number and your estimated wait time. If you did not get a boarding group, then it will let you know in this screen as well. Step number 8, take a screenshot of this just in case. Step number 9, make sure that you push the done blue button at the bottom to confirm everything. And now I'm going to show you what it looks like in real time so you understand how fast this process is. As you're waiting throughout the day to be able to ride the ride and you want to check your virtual queue status, all you have to do is open your My Disney Experience app. If the default screen pops up, tap those 3 horizontal lines at the bottom right of your screen. On the next screen, tap the square that says virtual queues. After that, it will pop up and show you the virtual queue that you are in, where they are in boarding groups, and your estimated wait time. Now that you've seen just how fast this process is, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks to be able to help you up your chances of being able to get a boarding group for the virtual queue that you're trying to join, and then also answer a lot of those frequently asked questions that I get. If you have a large party or multiple families traveling together and you want to try and ride together, then make sure that you are connected through the family and friends list. 1 hour to when the virtual queue opens up, you are able to go into the My Disney Experience app and edit anybody who does or does not want to ride, or you want to make sure that everybody is confirmed in your party when it's time to join the virtual queue. So I suggest doing this the morning of, before that 7 a.m. or that 1 p.m. time frame hits. If you have multiple people in your party that are going to be able to work the My Disney Experience app, and to up your chances about getting a virtual queue, you are able to try. Multiple people can try at the same time for the same party. I would suggest though, if you do get in a boarding group, whoever gets in the boarding group, take a screenshot just in case any glitches occur. If you only have one My Disney Experience app for an entire party, have multiple people sign into that one My Disney Experience app to go for joining a virtual queue, and the same thing applies. If somebody gets the virtual queue, make sure to screenshot. Make sure that all other apps have been cleared out of your phone. Make sure that you are only running the My Disney Experience app at the time that you are trying to join that virtual queue. And also make sure, if you can help it, not to be on Disney's Wi-Fi. One of the biggest tips I can give you is using time.gov to up your chances in getting a boarding group. Whenever that time says 6:59.59 or 12:59.59, that is whenever you want to push that refresh button at the bottom of your screen. If you are in a park and trying to join that virtual queue at the 1 p.m. time frame, make sure that you are trying to get away from the crowds as much as possible. Also, make sure that you are avoiding dead zones. And dead zones are going to be those rides that start going indoors or under tunnels, things like that. So don't be in line for a ride when trying to join a virtual queue, especially at that 1 p.m. time frame. Technically, you're only able to join a virtual queue at 7 a.m. at 1 p.m. If you happen to park hop to a park that has a virtual queue in it and the virtual queue is still open after that 2 p.m. mark when you're able to park hop, you are able to try and join the virtual queue to be able to ride that ride. Always, always, always take a screenshot whenever you get a boarding group, just in case the system glitches. If this happens to you, all you need to do is you need to find a guest experience team tent, which is in every single park. Take your phone up to them, show them the screenshot that you got the virtual queue, and they can adjust things on their end. You are at the mercy of when you get a boarding group. So if by chance a boarding group is going to be called during a dining reservation that you have, again, go to the guest experience team in the park and show them the dining reservation. Also show them the boarding group that you have, and they can adjust things so that you're going to be able to do both. If by chance another situation comes up and you're not able to ride the ride in your hour time frame once your boarding group is called, you do have an hour grace period after your boarding group to be able to ride. Again, just go up to the cast members at the front and let them know, and then they will do everything that they can to slide you in line to get you to ride the ride. If you're a family that is going to use the rider switch option, make sure that you are getting a boarding group for everybody in your party that is going to ride the ride. You're still able to use the rider switch option whenever you go up to the ride, but everybody riding has to have a boarding group. Knowing what the process looks like, having those tips and tricks in your back pocket, and then also knowing how to deal with the issues that could possibly come up on your park day is going to give you the best advantage of having the most magical experience when riding a virtual queue ride. If this video is helpful, please give it a like. Also consider subscribing as I show you all the tips and tricks and the magic at the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. I'm Terry with Creating the Magic. Have a magical day.